Hey, this is Coach Sammy33, and this is the Block 6 review for the New Mexico Lobos. Before we get to New Mexico, take some time to look at the bracket reveal. It's a little bit different, obviously, if you haven't been playing in the league, if you're just someone that follows my YouTube channel without really being in the NDL or following it. This is going to be really weird to you, but this is the first edition of the playoff bracket. We have a group of coaches that formed the committee, and given the time frame that they were looking at, they had a hard deadline. No games after. We're going to influence it, and going on that information, this is the top 12 they put up for the bracket. So San Diego State Aztecs, number 12. Go Aztecs. Memphis sitting at number 4. And then the rest, minus Notre Dame as an independent, the rest filled with teams from power conferences. How will it shake out? Who knows? We'll have to see. Memphis clearly won't be getting a bye. They've lost after the media curse. Iowa, South Carolina loses after too. You have Iowa and Kansas still kind of rolling. A lot to be decided. Many games to go. Taking it with a grain of salt. It's cool just to have something to go off of. Definitely has garnered some discussion in the live chat. It was talked about on the PTI episode as well. We'll see how things play out, but the focus is not on that. Focus is on New Mexico. So let's take a look at my Lobos. So right now we're sitting at 8-2. We're ranked number 24. That's probably going to change. San Diego State, that game will happen later. The coach is on vacation right now, enjoying himself. We'll get that game in for sure next week based on what our conversation led to, and then Hawaii, that'll open up next week. And then we basically have, I believe, until the 7th to get all games played, so that quote-unquote pause week to catch up, that extra 7 days to get stuff taken care of. But right now we're sitting at 8-2. Will we drop in the poll? I personally didn't vote for myself. I don't think I should be rated ranked anyway. We'll have to see. Clearly, my ranking will matter for San Diego State's purposes, because if I'm ranked, him getting a win against me will be a ranked win, and that will help his cause for, competing in the playoffs. We'll have to see. I really have a chance to play spoiler in many ways. Trust me. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But hey, we're 8-2. I have no complaints. We still have an opportunity to have double-digit wins. That'd be pretty nice. I believe last season at Western Michigan, I went 8-4. So a chance to improve on that with a lesser team. I'll take that. In the conference, what do you know? I lose to Colorado State. They're undefeated in conference play. I lose to Wyoming. They have 1 loss. So that is why we sit here, and we're pretty much locked out of potentially competing for a conference championship. What does change is if Colorado State loses or San Diego State loses, then we have tiebreakers and things get really interesting. What does make this interesting, a little wrench was just thrown in not too long ago. We found out that Utah State's coach will be stepping away and there will be a replacement. So it's a new coach, and you're coming in to face this guy not knowing what to expect. This is a brand new guy, and what do you know? He plays Colorado State and he plays San Diego State in the last block. So he could clearly influence how things play out, especially with him already losing to Boise. It makes for an interesting 3-team tiebreaker, potentially with San Diego State or with Colorado State. So it opens the door for Boise. It could open the door for Wyoming as well. So things will be interesting. Speaking of Wyoming, Colorado State and Wyoming, they do play this block. We're waiting for that game to get done. That's huge, huge for the conference race. Almost, don't want to say for sure, but if Wyoming were to lose, that almost takes them out of it. There's some things that could happen, but then it becomes basically a 3-team race between Boise, San Diego State, and Colorado State. Obviously, I can help my friend Sean out by getting a win against the Aztecs. Utah State, though, they're going to have a huge influence on what happens down the stretch. Not just this Wyoming Colorado State game, because it could make 3 teams with 1 loss. I could make it 4 if I could find a way to beat San Diego State, but then Utah State, they're going to get to face 2 of these teams and have an impact on what happens down the stretch. Looking at the coach contract, things are looking good in this aspect so far. We'll have to see what the coach reports look like. I mean, I don't think I've ever had like bad coach reports. I've had a couple that lower scores, not all fives. I think there was a couple of seasons for a while. I think I had like a 7 or 8 season stretch where I had all fives across the board for all reports. Be nice to get back to that. We'll see. There is one thing that is weird. I had to double check. So it says I have 11 recaps done when I've only played 10 games, and I don't have anything in San Diego State. I couldn't because there's no way, because we haven't played a game. So that's weird, but I'm sure regardless, by the time I'm finished with the games, it'll be done. So all votes are done. The last one, I was definitely cutting it close. Woke up with minutes to spare. And then coach reports and stats are done. So of the 40 points, sitting at 32.17, 4 more votes, 2 more games to play. So to report stats and recaps for that. So pretty close to done. This obviously is going to be the big impact here. How close to 40 can I get? And then season success. Talked about it a couple times. We've met everything on the left side. Our win goal down here, 3. We've got 8 wins, so check. Win 2 conference games. Well, we've definitely done that. I believe we've won 4. Fresno, Air Force, Utah State. Okay, maybe I lied, 3. So we've got that. Check. And then the rivalry game against New Mexico State, won that one, so check. So it's different. You have to think of it in terms of weights. 20 points total towards the 100-point coach contract is season success. My score on the season success, at least on this side, is 100 out of 100, which means that's 20. But then you look at the right side. So we're looking at road wins. On the road, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Washington State is a big one, 5. We went 5-1 on the road, so that's 5. 10 points there. Have not beat any ranked opponents, haven't played any yet. And then wins over the win goal, got 8 wins. Win goal is 3, so that's 5, so that's 15. So if you do the math, I have 115 out of 20 points. Well, 115 out of 100, and then do the math to get the 20 points. So that's what, 22 and a half points. Math could be a little off there, but that's pretty close to it, I think. It's around 22 points. I know that much. So we'll take it. We'll see if we can add a ranked win, because obviously the game against San Diego State becomes really big. I'm still ranked, so this is considered a ranked game, so it'd be +2, technically +3, because a win over the win goal, and then Hawaii would be potentially, 1. So 4 bonus points still chilling out there. We'll see what we can do. Let's look at some stats. So statistically, some good, some bad. Points, doing really good there. 4th in conference, 17th overall, so top 20, like that. Rushing, that's huge. The crazy thing is I'm 5th in rushing. It is insane how many running backs we have in the top 20 when it comes to rush yards. We're killing it in this conference, or our defenses are helping them kill it. One is probably a mix of both. Some really good running backs here, and the defenses are, well, we'll call it a little sus. We'll just leave it at that. So 14th overall, just 5th in the conference. Passing, we're 7th. I don't know how we're 7th. 79th overall. This probably goes to the fact that we run the ball so well. First downs, 30th basically, but I like that the points are higher because that was an issue with Western Michigan last season. I'm not going to look at the return yards, doesn't matter. Total yards, doesn't really matter as much because the return yardage skews it. But I'll look at the total offense. We're 37, so we're in the top third of the league in producing yards. Top 20 in producing points. I'll take it. Defensively, this has been huge. Definitely pitching a couple shutouts helps. 2nd in points allowed in the conference. It's kept us in some games, and it kind of sucks. A couple of games, thinking of the Wyoming game, we had some opportunities maybe to help keep points off the board. We couldn't. Colorado State, we couldn't score enough on offense, so defense A couple plays here and there you like maybe to hopefully get a better result, but at the end of the day, we're second in the conference. It's not bad. 22nd in the league, that's not bad either. In terms of offensive yards, well, not as great there. Third in conference, but overall, we're in the bottom half in the league in total offense. Rushing, about middle of the pack, third. Doesn't feel like it, trust me, especially once you talk about playing in conference. Passing, middle of the pack, that seems about right based on what's happened this season. The same thing with first downs, about the same. The key thing is, though, first downs about here, middle of the pack, but then points and yardage. Yardage, we're trending towards the bottom half, still around the middle, like the bottom middle, but good in terms of it not reflecting in points, probably because of turnovers. We're looking at the player stats. Dampier, it's been an interesting ride with him. 119 out of 176, thrown for 1,700 yards. Would love to get to 2,000. Crazy. This easily is going to be the worst season I've ever had with a quarterback in my time in the NDL, and that's saying something because I've had worse offenses. Just don't know what it is about Dampier. I'll have a guess. I'll get to that in a sec, but just 8 touchdown passes. It's a real. It could be very realistic that I don't hit 10 touchdown passes in the season, which is crazy to me because a guy that's super pass happy had to resort to running the ball because you have no choice. Thankfully, Sanders is running the ball well. He's going to end up probably at 1,500 yards barring an injury. Just shy of 1,400. He's got 18 touchdowns on the ground, broken 19 tackles. So the offensive line doing a good job of creating space for him. We'll take that. Henry, not as many. Rogers, he's kind of getting cut back. Dampier, the 66 yards, obviously sacks take away from it, but don't really run the ball that much with the quarterback. In the receiving game, this is definitely the biggest disappointment. If we just sort by receptions, Luke, our number one receiver, our impact receiver, has definitely been a disappointment. It's 24 catches for 340 yards, 2 touchdowns. The 2 touchdowns were huge though, but just 2. Sanders leads the team in receptions. He leads the team in yards. I mean, I like my running back, but I also don't like my running back to have to do everything. So this has been really interesting for me because I'm not used to this. Davis would be the number 2. You see he leads the team in drops. That's not helping matters in the passing game. He's the only receiver that has topped 100 yards in a game this season. 398. Technically, I believe Sanders did as well early on in the season, but he's the only actual receiver that has. The huge miss, though, is Caden Pope. Pope was kind of cooking early on, but with the roster update, ratings update, he was removed. We lose that speed in the slot, and we had to kind of reform our offense. So losing him hurt. He didn't have a touchdown, but man, he definitely could get open, and he definitely made it a lot harder for safeties to come up in the box. So it helped in the run game, too. Man. Isaiah, with the ratings change, he gets plopped in at tight end number 2. You see 52 yards on 6 receptions, even down the run last game. Man, slowest 1 yard I've ever got in my life, making Mike Allstott look like Chris Johnson, but I digress. Offensive line, like that our top 2 guys, Beckett and Anamba, had not given up a sack to this point in the season. Great, they're doing good. Anamba has been really, really good, especially pairing him with Isaiah. The 2 of them next to each other has just been, it's been great. Loving it. Just paving truck lanes when I'm able to get the interior part of the line to block well, to hold up so Sanders can get to that area of the field. Defensively, though, that is what has definitely been our bread and butter, is the turnovers. That's really been what the defense is about. I'm a Tampa Bay Buck fan. Monty Kiffin, Tampa 2. It's all about splash plays, creating turnovers, and we've done a good job of that. We'd like some better tackling. The tackling has gone downhill as the season has gone on. I'm sure part of it's because of the better running backs. Part of it, I'm sure, is because of the ratings update, dropping down to a 66 overall defensive. It's the second worst defense in the game, and trust me, it shows. But some guys have still been standouts. Avenger and Wilson being 2 key ones. Ellis is an impact player, but I still would say that these 2 guys up here have definitely had more of an impact on our season. Sacks, we're probably not going to end up with 10 sacks as a team. That's kind of depressing. but we don't have a defensive line. They're doing the best they can. I'll just have to accept it. But really, it's a turnover. So you can see Wilson and Taylor leading the way with 6 apiece. Taylor better before the downgrade, but still making plays here and there. Avenger and Ellis with the, well, Avenger downgraded, Ellis upgraded. Still impactful, but that's 12, 16, 23, 6, 9, 31, 3, 4, 5. 35 interceptions over 10 games. So 3.5 picks a game. We'll take that. Especially when you're only turning the ball over pretty much once. We have not lost a fumble this season, thankfully. And with 9 interceptions thrown to 35 interceptions gotten. Huge. Turnover margin, big. Passes deflected, a decent amount of those. Defensive touchdowns, you can see there are 6. Fumbles, we've done some things with that too. Wilson again, standout. Leads the team in tackles, leads the team in interceptions, tied, and leads the team in forced fumbles. So he is definitely looking at a potential Mountain West All-American defense spot. And then recovered fumbles, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that is 44 turnovers caused by the defense. So we're averaging less than 1 a game offensively, barely. And then we're getting 4, almost 4.5 defensively per game. It's a big reason why we have the record that we have. So GG's to the guys. A couple of safeties too. No blocks this season. We had a couple at Western Michigan. Field goals, 24-28. Can't complain about that too much. Missed 4. We did make one with the meter going wild. I've never done that before, so that was actually pretty cool. Missed 1, a couple of chip shot ones, and 2 that were long ones. It happens. I missed 1 because I was scared of it getting blocked. I panicked. Good on that. And then Luke, even though he struggled in the receiving game, partly because of quarterback, partly because I'm not doing a good enough job of getting him open, does have a kick return, a key kick return as well too. I believe that was against Georgia Southern. We needed that in that game for a little halting of momentum. So defensively, happy with what we have. Sanders clearly happy on the offensive side, and we'll see if we can get Dampier to have a positive TD interception ratio. With Hawaii coming up, I'm sure I'll have to pass the ball more than I normally do to keep up with his offense. Our defense, we're just going to hope for turnovers, hope for the best really, and see what happens.